Today is a Tarotorial video and we're focusing on the queens. And so the deck we're using today is the Influence of the Angels, and this is a continuation of a series I've been doing. So if you are interested in more content like this, take a look at my YouTube channel where you can find all Tarotorial videos. So the queens, there's 4 of them, 1 for each suit. And so with this Influence of the Angels deck, many of the cards reflects either specific angels or specific people that they're highlighting from history that have contributed to society. And so each queen is representing someone who has had a human experience here and identifies with the element that it's representing. So we're going to start with the Queen of Cups. The cups represent our deeply felt emotions, okay? Our intuition, our psychic sensitivity, a way of knowing that is a feeling, okay? So really that empathy, that sensitivity, energy that we exchange with one another and feel for ourselves. So that's the Queen of Cups here. So it's also about, like, the queens are really focused on, like, the woman's role in society. And so the one we're focusing on for the cup suit is Abigail Adams, okay? And Abigail Adams was born in 1744 and passed away in 1818. So Abigail Adams is one of the most admired figures from American history. The relationship she had with her husband, President John Adams, was extraordinary for its time because they were true equals. Throughout their marriage, Abigail was a confidant and an advisor to John, and they greatly respected and loved one another. Abigail was the mother of 5 and not only raised her own children, but also helped raise her grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. She was a strong matriarch who loved her family and supported them intellectually, emotionally, and when needed, financially. Some of what you see in the Queen of Cups card here in the background is a pond. And this really represents any kind of water in a card would represent emotion or feelings. There's also a cradle, which is representing the nurturing, the mother aspect of things. And then we also have that she's holding a white carnation as well as like a white cup, a teacup. And so this really represents, the carnation represents like the traditional Mother's Day flower is the white carnation. And so when you see the Queen of Cups, it's representing like someone who's very supportive, helps other people thrive, right? Provides unconditional acceptance of others, someone who's very compassionate and sensitive to the needs of others, someone who's very emotionally strong, willing to give advice and assistance. So it's kind of like almost the humanitarian vibe too. Someone who has good counsel, someone who, you know, gives you that shoulder to cry on. But then also the Queen of Cups represents someone who's very intuitive and tuned into the emotional energy of a situation. And so they don't call it mother's intuition for nothing, okay? So the shadow meaning of this would be like a limited self-identity, right? When it comes to like motherhood and nurturing. Also at risk for like empty nest syndrome, right? As well as compassion and concern for others may lead to emotionally being drained or depleted. Okay, so if this was in reverse, then maybe someone was overgiving to a situation. The angelic message here is, may the support you give to those you love be appreciated and returned to you in kind. All right, next queen is Queen of Swords, and the swords represent air and the mind and communication. So anything that's related to like thoughts, beliefs, the subconscious, any type of communication between parties, as well as telecommunication. The mind can powerfully affect our emotions. And so something that tends to, we also create from our mindset, right? So it's really important that you have a positive mindset because our mind creates our own reality. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Queen of Swords here. Again, the queens represent the role in society, women's roles in society. So the person we're focusing on with the Queen of Swords is Mary Wollstonecraft. She was alive from 1759 to 1797. And she was an English writer, and she was best known for A Vindication of the Rights of Women in 1792. It was an early landmark in feminist philosophy and women's rights. Okay, so as a young woman, she worked as a governess and teacher, and much of her writing, both fiction and nonfiction, was about educating children. She disliked the aristocracy and preferred the idea of a more democratic culture. Influenced by Enlightenment thinkers, reason and rationality are fundamental to her philosophy. She strongly believed that providing girls and young women with a good education was the key to a better society. She observed many silly, sentimental, and superficial women during her time and blamed it on the patriarchal society that preferred pretty and passive females over well-taught, well-rounded, rational women. She was also a very strong intellectual, and she wasn't afraid to tell it like it is. Very straightforward and in a very honest way. So when you see the Queen of Swords, expect direct communication, okay, from someone who finds value in the facts, as well as how women really do contribute to the overall existence here of humanity. So the symbols here is there's many books behind her, and that really represents like the education and thinking and intellect and the thirst for knowledge and wisdom. The miniature portrait is kind of in the upper left section. This is it's like a little painting on the bookshelf. It portrays 4 different aged females. Okay, so it's kind of like the 3. It's representing the child, the teen, the young mother, and the older mother. This indicates the concern about how girls develop into women and mothers. It also reminds us of how historically important she was to women's rights. She's also holding a paper and a pen and a sword. They're all available at her desk. And so these represent the ability to form one's own opinions and ideas and the capacity to communicate with them properly. There is an angel also that's kind of around what she's working on, and this is really providing like a halo. There's like a halo as well, and so this angel is embodying the presence of enlightenment. So whatever the Queen of Swords is sharing is coming from a high vibrational place of enlightenment. So when you see the Queen of Swords, you're going to reflect that this energy is helping others learn the truth and understanding things rationally, being or having an intellectual mentor, having the perception and being able to recognize and have insight about something that isn't always apparent to other people. I said this earlier, direct and honest communication, as well as intellectual honesty and courage, as well as like strong ethics and integrity I would also add to this. So if this was in the reverse, I would say that this energy would feel like they're not being listened to or understood. So a lack of understanding. I would say maybe you're too much in your head. You think too much, kind of in a derogatory, dismissive way. Maybe also if this was in the reverse, someone may make a point that someone is deemed eccentric because of one's independent thoughts, or unconventional ideas. And so the message here is, may your vision and honesty be embraced by all who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Next lady up is the Queen of Pentacles. And so Pentacles represent earth and element. So this is how things that we experience affect our physical reality. They're often solid or tangible. So this would be concerns of everyday living, pragmatism, money, work, health, and residence. Okay, so again, Queen of Pentacles. So the lady we're focusing here is Hannah Glasse. Hannah Glasse was an English author, and she was born in 1708 and she passed in 1770. She was best known for her 1747 cookbook, The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy. At the time, most cookbooks were written for professional chefs who cooked for the upper class. Glasse's book was made for the common cook. It featured clearly written practical recipes that used native, in-season ingredients. This different, down-to-earth approach helped make the art of cookery a bestseller for many years. Though archaic, it's still in print and available to modern readers. Glasse also worked as a dressmaker and was the mother of 5 surviving children. Okay, so some of the symbology here in this card is what she's holding in the basket, right? And how it's bountiful, it's overflowing. There's a lot of variety. There's cabbage and onions. And this is, again, like simple, basic food that even the poor can afford. And if they prepared it well, it can be very delicious. They symbolize practicality, goodness, being down to earth, and doing the best you can with what you have, okay? The setting behind her is the kitchen. And so this kitchen is where food is cooked and often eaten and represents sustenance and nourishment. And the fruit that's being represented is the sweet and joyful side of nurturing and creation, right? She's creating meals and, sharing that with others. And so the direct representation as far as this deck is concerned, when you see the Queen of Pentacles, is that this energy doesn't really have any kind of pretense. They're very down to earth. They're very practical, very resourceful, and they take care of what they need to take care of without kind of question. And they enjoy simple pleasures, and they're typically generous and caring and provide a lot of comfort and security. Okay, so if you were to come across a reading and the Queen of Pentacles is in the reverse, then it could mean this. They could be uncomfortable with outside energy or being outside of the home or their own environment. So maybe they tend to be a homebody, and when they're not in their comfort zone, they are uncomfortable. It also can be like a lack of like the very gold digging energy, or somebody who takes advantage of others for the sake of receiving. Okay, it also can be representing like a limited self-identity, not really knowing who you truly are, like being ungrounded would be an example. And then besides being a nurturer, provider, who are you, right? So it's kind of like, again, like still trying to figure yourself out, right? Not really having your feet planted on the ground firmly. And Pentacles also represent like stability, security, foundation, okay? So the message here is, may you be enriched and generous in every way. Okay, so this would be somebody who would be like, oh, I made a bunch of breads, for the village, and she goes and drops it off to, the other different women, right, that are in the village that she has close relationships with. And she knows that, she used the ingredients that she had on hand to share this bread with her friends, and it would provide sustenance for their families, right? And then they would in kind return the favor. Okay, so that's the energy of the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles can also represent someone who is a business owner, someone who has a leadership position, but doesn't let the leadership position kind of get to her head. She's very grounded, stable, secure, and it also represents somebody knowing their worth and value. So that is the Queen of Pentacles. All right, next up is the Queen of Wands, fire sign energy. All right, so wands are really about, again, energy, action, ambition, motivation, taking on challenges while moving forward, having lots of inspiration, motivating, as well as a creative spark. Okay, so let's read about the Queen of Wands here. I'm probably going to brutalize her name, so I apologize in advance, but her name is Marguerite de Navarre. She was born in 1526 to 1549, so she had a short stint here, but she made a really big impact. She was a French noblewoman who has been dubbed Mother of the French Renaissance. She became the most influential woman in France after her brother ascended to the throne. A great patron of the arts, Marguerite befriended many artists, writers, and thinkers, and provided support and encouragement to them. She was a highly educated woman with a flair and gave the French court flavor. She even had a best-selling book, and it was specifically focused on French literature. Marguerite lived during the time of the Protestant Reformation, and France was a Catholic state at the time. She helped with the growing tension by advocating common sense and moderation. If she hadn't been the king's sister, she might have been imprisoned or burned at the stake. Because she passionately campaigned for church reform, remaining Catholic, she did all she could to protect writers and thinkers who were suspected to be of Protestant leanings. So she helped protect and stand up for what was right, but in a way with grace, okay? So she was able to be like the peacemaker in a very difficult situation. And so some of the symbology on this card would be, first and foremost, I mean, her dress is gorgeous, but let's talk about the sunflower, the symbol of vitality and positive energy. She's also holding a scepter, which, you know, certainly represents power, authority. This one, yeah, I mean, it's representing like a pointer, which is showing and guides others to where to look or where to go. Okay, so again, like directional, influential, like insightful, even to that point. It also indicates royal power and authority. Okay, there's a cat also by her feet there. This is to this like symbolizes the lion of strength and courage. So the cat represents civilized or social strength and courage. Cats are independent, confident, and seek no one's approval. They can also represent intuition and connection to the spiritual side. A cat is ready for any situation, whether it has a pounce, cuddle, or simple gaze at the world with interest. The cat shown here is a companion, which reminds us that the sociable queen enjoys the company and companionship of others. All right, so this one packs a punch. So the direct meaning here, I would say, would be strong and confident, very outspoken and candid, optimistic with a positive outlook, socially intelligent, charismatic and charming, attractive and extroverted, very healthy, very energetic, enjoys being independent, encourages others to be independent too. So if this was in reverse, I would say that someone, or the energy would be, maybe someone isn't inspired. They're a bit bored. Maybe they're isolated and not around people because, you know, this energy tends to like to be like in a social setting, charismatic, extroverted, doing some sort of activity or function, or feeling defeated, not feeling the confidence or the strength that someone may need to bring to a situation or an experience. This also could be an abuse of power if it was in the negative. I mean, if it was in the reverse. Okay, so you can take pretty much the direct meanings and flip those to a pessimistic type point of view, and that would represent a Queen of Wands in the reverse. So the message here is, may you be surrounded by good company and enriched by all you do. Okay, so that is the Queen of Wands. Okay, so the next Tarotorial video is going to be about the Kings. So stay tuned. If you like this content, give me a like, give me a follow. I'll see you next time.